This is City Methodist Church in Gary, Indiana, one of the largest churches in the Midwest at its time. Hello, welcome to another episode of This, That, and the Other. And I was going through the internet looking up information on this. I have been started watching another YouTube channel, Joe and Nick's Road Trips. They go all over the country to different places, just going through towns. And one of the tours they did was a tour of Gary, Indiana. And that was one of the things he showed. He actually went inside of the place, and it's in pretty bad shape. It ceased to be a place of worship in 1975. In 1916, Dr. William Grant Seaman became its pastor. He wanted a really large church to serve the town. They had another Methodist church. It was smaller, and that it started in 1906, the same year of the town's founding. He envisioned a bigger church and wanted a prominent religious presence in a neighborhood that had numerous brothels and drinking establishments. He received the backing of U.S. Steel, the chief employer in the city. The company donated the site on which the church was to be built and agreed to donate almost half the cost. Construction began in 1925 and took 21 months to complete. The cost was $800,000, quite a bit back then. First service was held on October 3rd, 1926. It was built by Lowell and Bollenbacher of Chicago. It was a 9-story complex, including a theater called Seaman Hall, seated 1,000 people, had corporate offices, gymnasium, Sunday school, and dining hall. There were plans for a bowling alley, which was never built. A rooftop garden was never finished. By 1920, church had a congregation of 1,700 and staff of 6. During the Great Depression, church leased part of Seaman Hall to Gary College to gain much needed additional funds. Post-year wars, Indiana University Center used part of Seaman Hall. By 1949, Indiana University Northwest occupied 3 floors. The church reached the pinnacle of its popularity in the 1950s, with the membership surpassing 3,000. Gary, Indiana declined in the 60s and 70s. Church fortunes began to crumble. The church lost numbers of parishioners, a lot due to cultural shift in the city, and many people that were part of that church moved away. Crime rates soared. That caused even more departures, and maintenance costs were getting out of sight. Owing to the church's huge dimensions and the harsh lakefront climate, by 1973 they only had 320 members in an aging congregation, about a third of whom regularly attended. After attempts to sell the building to another congregation did not happen, decision to eventually close the church was made in 1975. The structure passed in the hands of Indiana University, which continued to use part of Seaman Hall as a satellite campus, but nothing was done with the church itself. By the 1990s, the church was already starting to decay. And then in 1997, it was severely damaged by a fire, and that accelerated the deterioration even further. Church is popular for urban exploration, although permits are required now, and has even been a location of goth weddings in recent years. Kind of interesting. I saw some video footage of the inside, and it's basically just, there's no roof on it anymore. The floors have all caved in. It's just, it's a shell of what it used to be. you see some parts that give you indication that it was a church. You can tell also from the outside that it was, but it's basically just a big shell of itself now. It's sad. I imagine it was a really beautiful church at one time. It's too bad that there wasn't the money. There wasn't money to keep that building up, keep it. I don't know what's caused the fire or anything, and that pretty much devastated it. I guess if somebody wanted to put out the money, maybe it could be restored. I don't know. It was in pretty bad shape, so I don't know if that. I'm not an expert in that regard, so I don't know whether that would be maybe some of you people that watch these videos could let me know on that whether that would even whether it would even be feasible. I know it would be a substantial amount of money. It could run into the billions, but anyway, it's an interesting piece of architecture, and like I said, looking for ideas on shows to do in the future. Shows about preserving history, especially obscure aspects of history. If it's feasible, I will research it and base a show on it. That being said, like, subscribe, share. As always, thanks for watching.